This pleasant country house near Waltham Abbey is a school, a Barnardo special school. 40 children live and learn here. Like most youngsters, they spend a good deal of time pursuing happiness, but in fact they have less cause for high spirits than most of us. Donna, for example, was born with a severe speech defect and a difficult wobbly walk. For her, all corridors are a tightrope that tax patience and coordination to the limit, but she gets about. Andrew is less fortunate. With the aid of calipers and sticks, he can stand, and by making a superhuman effort, even take 5 or 6 steps. But in the main, he surveys and evaluates life from his wheelchair. "20 years ago, the vast majority of physically handicapped children were kept quietly at home, away from the public eye, and to a certain extent, the public conscience. Dependence on others increased year by year, and loneliness sapped initiative. Today, the situation has changed dramatically. The Education Act, with its far-sighted theme of teaching the nation's children in accordance with their needs, abilities, and aptitudes, let the first chink of light into the lives of these youngsters. Grants from local authorities and voluntary contributions made it possible to bring them together, to train and to teach them. It also meant companionship from friends and a highly skilled staff who know how frustrating life can be for a young man when he spends most of it trying to catch up. Teaching physically handicapped children and gearing an educational program to their needs is a difficult and demanding job. Nearly every child in this class has spent months or even years in hospital. Minds as well as muscles have grown rusty with disuse. But no matter how slow or arduous the process, these youngsters are eager to learn and make up lost time. Teaching at a special school requires a deep sense of involvement with individuals and their special problems. For this reason, classes are small, so that each child can receive personal tuition. This geography class, with its 10 or a dozen pupils, is typical. Mr. Ewing, teaching here, is also the headmaster.
A large proportion, unfortunately, of our children are educationally backward, owing to their disabilities and lack of experience. Other children gather their experience in the playground, shopping with mother, on the bus, and by spending their own pocket money. But when our boys and girls come to us, they're limited in these experiences and they must be provided. As far as possible, we try to match progress with potential ability. Every child goes forward according to its own ability and at its own speed. A good percentage of our pupils progress to a standard where they can read and write with an understanding and a comprehension that will assist them in day-by-day living. Indeed, children do advance in this atmosphere, because here they're not the odd man out. They work together as individuals, and whereas they're unable to take advantage readily of an academic course, we approach teaching them along more practical lines. The 3 hours in the main are taught incidentally. The boys are interested in practical subjects. Art is very popular. But unfortunately, again, the manipulative difficulties with certain children make them rather disappointed with their final results, and they seek other means of creative expression. Woodwork is quite a popular occupation. We use balsa woods, which are very much more malleable and very much more softer for them to carve and to cut and to model. In the pottery room, they assist each other. One may be able to manipulate the clay, but unable to work the treadle. But by working together, they both manage to share a creative hobby. Again, as in other schools, the girls are attracted to the domestic science room, making simple dishes and compiling simple menus. Some of the food they produce is very good indeed. In the needlecraft section, they make and design their own clothes. And they go to the local markets and to the local shops, buying their own materials. Teaching in a special school such as this is a very satisfying job. To understand the people that you're working with and to realize that their personalities that we are favored to develop is part of the reward. Children get caught up in the atmosphere of the home. They're carried into the school and are most cooperative in all their efforts.
Warlies is, of course, a residential school. The twin objects of living and learning run hand in hand. Out of school, the children relax in an informal atmosphere. Few of the staff wear uniform. They are looked upon by the boys and girls as friends who give a helping hand when necessary. Mrs. Doris Knight, the superintendent, has spent a good part of her life in this type of work.
I came to Warlies 7 years ago with my husband. Friends who visit sometimes say, we couldn't do this work, it must be so sad, but this we never stop to think about. We're busy. It's an absorbing job, helping the children to learn to live and overcome their obstacles. Depression is rarely seen, very rarely seen. We encourage the children to go out, we encourage friends to come in. We do not want them to be isolated, but to mix. And this they do very well indeed. They show no embarrassment if they have difficult speech or difficult walk. It is we, the adults, who show signs of embarrassment when we meet a handicapped child. But he or she just wishes to be accepted as a normal individual. The children are very good at helping one another and very understanding of each other's disabilities. There's always someone who can push somebody else. We watch them learning to live together, learning to overcome the obstacles they have in life, gaining confidence and independence as they do so. They go to the village shops, which are only 10 minutes away from here, and spend their money on pop and chips and crisps, just like other people. They sometimes are a little backward with their maths, and the shopkeepers are very kind and gentle with them, explaining things and trying to understand the difficult speech problems, but there's usually one of the other children who can interpret. One little boy hasn't any speech at all, but he still goes shopping and makes himself understood. We aim at making Warlies a homely school, not a substitute home. We keep away from excessive organisation. The young staff are looked upon as the older sisters of the boys and girls and join in their fun and games. We do everything we can to encourage the parents to visit the school, to be here, to even take part on a sports day, to come at any other time, any weekends, or even in school hours. They can see, and they're not the only parents who have a handicapped child. Somehow trouble shared is a trouble halved. And it is very necessary to welcome parents, not to let them think they're doing something very mysterious and wonderful that they're not able to do. As there is a certain responsibility to the parents who must make a great effort to let their children come to a boarding school. They would obviously like to keep them with them all the time. They make the sacrifice. And I'm sure it's a wise sacrifice, and the children gain all the time. We're constantly, both the headmaster and myself, thinking of the future. The reward of doing this job, the satisfaction, is seeing a happy child. It is considerably easy to keep them very happy whilst at school. But we're watching for anything that they're able to do, which will assist them to lead as normal a life as possible when they leave us.
I saw a tiger. I saw a snake. I saw a hen.
No, Bruno. Hen.
Hen.
A very few of our children are able to be taught trades and live in the outside world. They are mostly found places in sheltered workshops, earning a little money and taking their part and becoming useful citizens.
Betty is...
Dabbing.
Billy is...
Cooking.
Andrew is...
Swimming.
Today in Britain, 1 child in 500 is either born with or acquires one of the many diseases that impair movement. Many of them come into care as babies, delicate babies who are frequently very ill indeed. At present, 200 physically handicapped children, ranging in age from babies like these to school leavers, are cared for in 5 special homes. Many of the younger ones will progress rapidly under skilled medical attention and live a normal life. Others, unfortunately, may never travel under their own steam. But they will be loved, looked after, and educated. Treatment and training are combined at John Capel Hanbury House. 36 severely handicapped boys and girls live here and attend an adjoining junior school. Doctors, physiotherapists, and nurses work in close cooperation with the teaching staff. Dr. C.V. Bloom is the chief medical officer.
It is hard for us to imagine how difficult the everyday things of life are for the handicapped child. Their ingenuity in overcoming such basic problems as movement and communication is astonishing, and their selflessness and lack of self-pity is an example to all of us. But while we consider the children in our care, it mustn't be forgotten that parents also have their difficulties. This little girl, for example, has brothers and sisters. If she were at home, either mother or father would spend a good deal of time taking her to hospitals or medical specialists, and life would become impossible. Here, all her needs are met within the school itself. Unlike a number of other special schools and homes, we do not specialize in the treatment of one disability to the exclusion of others. There are a number of reasons for this policy. The main one being that psychologically it is very helpful, indeed very necessary, for youngsters with progressive diseases, such as muscular dystrophy, to spend as much time as possible in the company of those children who may improve over the years. Problems created by maladjustment to a handicapped life can loom large in schools like this, and we find that by helping each other, they're learning to help themselves. Something that most people find surprising is the tremendous amount of real fun and enjoyment that our youngsters get out of life. It will almost seem as though they believe that their disabilities and handicaps are part of the complicated business of growing up, and that they, as they become older, they will grow out of them and run or climb trees like other children. We would not have them think otherwise at this stage.
Dr. Thomas John Barnardo devoted his life to children. His love for the weak and the disabled was absolute. 80 years ago, his first special home for the physically handicapped opened its doors. Since then, hundreds of thousands of children have been given cause to remember his name. Today, the spirit of his work remains and grows. Throughout the country, men and women are putting themselves and their skills at the disposal of those who need them most. One day, God willing, science will conquer the diseases that maim and cripple, and the wheelchair will become a thing of the past. Until that day, Donna and the many children like her are content to concern themselves with the present.